Did you know that what you're doing before bed could be silently harming your brain health? If you're over 50 and you find yourself waking up at 3 a.m. night after night, feeling exhausted all day even though you think you're getting enough sleep, you might be making one of the 4 critical mistakes I'm about to share with you. Hello, I'm Dr. Emily Carter, a sleep health specialist with over 20 years of experience. I've helped more than 10,000 patients overcome their sleep challenges and improve their quality of life. And today, I want to be completely honest with you about the mistakes that most people believe are helping them sleep better, but are actually quietly damaging their brain health. In this video, I'm going to reveal 4 habits that seem harmless, but are extremely harmful to your sleep quality and memory. And at the end, I'll share a simple solution you can start using tonight to protect your brain and improve your sleep. If you want to sleep better, feel more alert, and protect your memory as you age, make sure to subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. Now, let's dive into the first mistake that 7 out of 10 seniors are making every single night. Many people believe that a glass of wine before bed helps them relax and fall asleep faster. But this is actually the most harmful mistake I see in my patients, and I need you to understand why this seemingly innocent habit could be seriously damaging your brain health. Let me explain the critical difference between sedation and real sleep. When you drink that glass of wine before bed, you're not actually helping yourself sleep. Alcohol is what we call a sedative, and sedation is fundamentally different from natural sleep. What alcohol does is essentially knock out your cortex, putting you into a sedated state. You might think you're sleeping, but your brain isn't getting the restorative rest it desperately needs. It's like the difference between being knocked unconscious and taking a healthy nap. Your body is lying there, but the essential repair work isn't happening. Now, here's where it gets really concerning. Alcohol destroys your sleep quality in 3 devastating ways. First, it causes you to wake up multiple times throughout the night. These are called micro-awakenings. And here's the tricky part. You don't remember them. You might think you slept through the night, but your brain was actually disturbed dozens of times. This is why you wake up feeling unrested even after 8 hours in bed. Second, and this is critical for anyone concerned about memory and cognitive health, alcohol blocks your REM sleep almost completely. REM sleep, or rapid eye movement sleep, is the stage where you dream, and it's absolutely essential for your brain health. During REM sleep, your brain processes memories, regulates emotions, and clears out harmful proteins that can lead to cognitive decline. Third, because of these disruptions, you never feel truly refreshed when you wake up. That groggy, tired feeling isn't just in your head. It's your brain telling you it didn't get the deep, restorative sleep it needed. The research on this is actually quite alarming. Studies from the University of California have shown that when laboratory animals are deprived of REM sleep, they die almost as quickly as if they were completely deprived of food. That's how essential REM sleep is for survival. For older adults, REM sleep is crucial for maintaining memory, mental sharpness, and emotional well-being. When you consistently block REM sleep with alcohol, you're significantly increasing your risk of cognitive decline and even Alzheimer's disease. Let me share a real example from my practice. I had a patient named Margaret, a vibrant 67-year-old woman who had been enjoying a glass or 2 of wine before bed for 15 years. She came to me complaining about memory problems, constantly forgetting names and appointments, and feeling exhausted no matter how much she slept. After we talked about her evening routine, I asked her to completely stop the alcohol for just 3 weeks. The transformation was remarkable. Her memory improved noticeably, she started sleeping more deeply, and that constant fatigue finally lifted. She told me it felt like a fog had been lifted from her mind. So here's what I want you to do tonight. If you've been using alcohol as a sleep aid, stop. I know it seems like it's helping, but I promise you, it's doing far more harm than good. Instead, try a cup of caffeine-free herbal tea like chamomile or valerian root, or a glass of warm milk. Your brain will thank you, and you'll be amazed at how much better you feel. And if you think alcohol is bad for your sleep, wait until you hear about mistake number 2. It's something that many people believe is more natural and safer, but it's creating a dangerous cycle that's hard to break. More and more seniors are turning to cannabis because they believe it's a natural solution for sleep problems. I understand the appeal, especially with all the marketing around natural remedies, but I need to share some concerning facts with you about what cannabis is actually doing to your brain while you sleep. Here's why cannabis creates the illusion of helping you sleep. When you use it, it does help you fall asleep faster by reducing anxiety in that moment. It creates a feeling of relaxation and drowsiness, and that initial effect feels really good. Many of my patients tell me they love how quickly they drift off after using it. But here's the problem that most people don't realize. Just like alcohol, cannabis blocks your REM sleep. And remember what I just told you about how critical REM sleep is for your brain health? When you use cannabis regularly, you're depriving your brain of this essential sleep stage night after night. But here's where it gets even more troubling. Without adequate REM sleep, you wake up feeling more anxious and depressed the next day. Your brain didn't get the emotional processing it needed during the night, so those feelings intensify. This creates what I call the anxiety loop, and it's one of the most dangerous cycles I see in my practice. You feel anxious, so you use cannabis to help you sleep. The cannabis blocks your REM sleep. Without REM sleep, you feel even more anxious and depressed the next day. So what do? You use more cannabis to cope with those feelings. And the cycle continues, getting worse over time. You're essentially using cannabis to treat symptoms that the cannabis itself is making worse. Let me explain the biology behind this. THC, which is the psychoactive component in cannabis, interferes with your brain's natural sleep cycles. It prevents your brain from entering the deep sleep and REM stages that are essential for cognitive repair and emotional regulation. The result is poor quality sleep, where your brain isn't getting the cleanup and restoration it needs. Think of it like trying to clean your house with the power turned off. The effort is there, but the essential work can't happen. Now, I know some of you might be wondering about CBD oil, which is the non-psychoactive component of cannabis. The research on CBD is still limited, but what we know so far suggests it may be safer than THC. However, I strongly encourage you not to self-treat with any cannabis products without consulting your healthcare provider first. Everyone's situation is different, and what works for one person might not be appropriate for another. The bottom line is this: don't turn cannabis into your sleep aid. If you're struggling with anxiety or sleep problems, let's address the root cause instead of masking the symptoms with something that's actually making the problem worse in the long run. If you're finding this information helpful, please hit that like button so I know to keep sharing important content like this with you. Now, let's talk about mistake number 3, and this one might surprise you because almost all of us do it every single week without realizing we're actually shortening our lifespan. Do you often sleep less during the week and then try to make up for it by sleeping more on weekends? If you do, I have some difficult news to share with you, and I want you to really hear this because it could literally add years to your life. Let me destroy a dangerous myth that almost everyone believes. Many people think of sleep like a bank account. They believe if they lose sleep tonight, they can just sleep more tomorrow and pay back that debt. But here's the truth that the science is absolutely clear about. Sleep does not work like a bank. You cannot accumulate a sleep debt and then pay it off later. Once you've lost sleep, it's gone forever. Let me share the research that proves this. In sleep studies, researchers deliberately deprived participants of 8 hours of sleep in a single night. Then they allowed these people to sleep as much as they wanted for several days afterward to recover. What happened? Even though they slept longer, they never got back all 8 hours they had lost. Their bodies tried, but it's simply impossible to fully recover lost sleep. Your brain cannot make up for that lost repair time, and the damage accumulates. This brings me to what we call social jet lag, and you might be doing this right now without realizing how dangerous it is. Social jet lag is when you sleep very little from Monday through Friday, maybe just 5 or 6 hours a night, and then you try to catch up by sleeping 9 or 10 hours on Saturday and Sunday. I sometimes call this sleep bulimia because it's like a binge and purge cycle with your sleep, and the health consequences are genuinely frightening. Here are the numbers, and I want you to really absorb this. Research shows that if you consistently sleep only 5 hours a night, you have a 65% higher risk of dying prematurely. That's a 65% increase in your mortality risk just from inadequate sleep. Now, some studies suggest that trying to catch up on weekends might reduce some of that risk, but here's what those same studies found. People who sleep little during the week and more on weekends are almost twice as likely to report being in poor health compared to people who consistently get 7 to 9 hours every single night. They have dramatically higher rates of type 2 diabetes, obesity, cardiovascular disease, and stroke. Let me give you a real-world example. I worked with a patient named John, a 72-year-old retired executive who thought he was managing his sleep well. During the week, he'd sleep 5 to 6 hours because old habits die hard, and he was still mentally active with consulting work. Then on weekends, he'd sleep 9 hours to make up for it. When he came to me, he had high blood pressure, prediabetes, and chronic fatigue. His body was telling him something was seriously wrong. After we shifted him to a consistent 7 to 8 hours every single night, including weekends, his health markers improved significantly within just 3 months. His blood pressure came down, his blood sugar stabilized, and that constant exhaustion finally disappeared. Here's your golden rule, and I want you to write this down. Sleep 7 to 9 hours consistently every single night, whether it's Tuesday or Saturday. Consistency matters more than total hours. Your body thrives on routine, and your brain needs that predictable pattern to function optimally. Think of it like taking medication. You wouldn't skip your heart medication all week and then take 7 pills on Sunday, would you? Sleep works the same way. Now, let me tell you about the fourth and final mistake, and this one is something small that you probably do every single morning, but it's causing serious damage to your heart health. Here's a question for you. How many times do you hit the snooze button each morning? If your answer is more than once, or even if it's just once, you're repeatedly shocking your cardiovascular system in a way that's causing real harm over time. Let me explain what happens to your body when your alarm goes off. That sudden sound triggers what's called a stress response. Your heart rate spikes instantly. Stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline flood your system, and your blood pressure shoots up. It's essentially a mini shock to your cardiovascular system. Now, using one alarm is perfectly fine. We all need to wake up at a certain time. But here's where the danger comes in. Every time you hit that snooze button, you're putting your heart through that same shock all over again. If you're hitting snooze 3 or 4 times every morning, you're essentially giving your heart 3 or 4 stress shocks before you even get out of bed. Now multiply that by 365 days a year, then by multiple years or even decades, and you can imagine the cumulative strain you're placing on your cardiovascular system. The research on cardiovascular responses to alarm clocks shows that each alarm triggers a 20 to 30% increase in stress hormones. For people who regularly hit snooze multiple times, this repeated stress response is associated with higher risks of irregular heart rhythms and other cardiac issues over time. Your heart is meant to wake up gently, not to be jolted repeatedly like this. So here's my simple solution for you. Use only one alarm, and when it goes off, sit up immediately. Don't negotiate with yourself. I also recommend setting what I call a bedtime alarm about 15 minutes before you need to sleep. Use that time to do all your bedtime routines. Brush your teeth, change into your pajamas, prepare everything for the next morning. This way, when it's time to sleep, you're ready, and you'll get those full 7 to 8 hours you need. The next morning, one alarm, and you're up. If you're someone who regularly hits snooze, I want you to comment, "Stop snooze," below right now. Make that commitment to yourself and your heart health. Let me know you're serious about making this change starting tomorrow morning. All right, we've covered all 4 dangerous mistakes. But how do you actually start making these changes? Let me bring this all together for you. First, alcohol and cannabis destroy your REM sleep and damage your brain over time. Second, you cannot catch up on sleep during weekends. Sleep debt cannot be repaid. Third, sleep 7 to 9 hours consistently every single night. And fourth, stop hitting that snooze button to protect your heart. Choose one mistake you're making and commit to changing it starting tonight. Your brain and heart will transform when you prioritize healthy sleep. In my next video, I'll share 5 scientifically proven techniques to help you fall asleep in just 2 minutes, even when you're anxious or stressed. These are military methods that work remarkably well. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss it. Share this video with anyone struggling with sleep. Comment below which mistake you're making. I read every comment. Thank you for watching. Here's to better sleep and better health. Sweet dreams.